Instant rice is not a convenience hack. It's a quality trap. Same word on the front, wildly different results in the bowl. Today, I'm testing the myth that one ingredient means one experience. Some brands honor basmati and jasmine, others turn them into gummy, dry, or stale tasting filler. You'll hear why texture, not time, is the real deal breaker, and how specific brands either deliver separated, aromatic grains or collapse into molar-resisting mush. By the end, you'll know which pouches are dinner-worthy and which are just 90-second regret. You buy 2 pouches that both say jasmine rice. Same font, same color story. One opens warm and buttery, the other hits you with a flat, slightly stale note before you even touch the microwave. That gap lives in the steps the label doesn't show you. One ingredient is the costume. Behind it, the factory runs a playbook. Pick a strain and harvest window, wash and soak to control surface starch, par cook to a target gelatinization, chill fast so grains don't keep cooking, dry them in a controlled tunnel, coat with a thin film of oil or lecithin to keep clumping down, then seal with headspace that won't stale it too fast. Every dial changes texture and aroma. If you handled rice like that at home, you'd call it a project. They call it convenience. Brands sell the purity halo hard, but the shortcuts they use would never make it into your pot. Aggressive dehydration schedules pull water out of the outer layer so fast the surface collapses and fuses. Emulsifiers sneak in as processing aids because a microscopic film helps the grains move through form-fill-seal machines and survive a warehouse. It looks clean on paper, it eats like a compromise. Let's pull back the curtain on the line. First, selection. Fragrant cultivars vary by field, age, and storage. Older rice oxidizes faster, so factories push more oil to fake slip and gloss. Second, wash and soak. Under-soak leaves chalky cores that need harsher heat later. Oversoak swells the starch and sets you up for mush. Third, par cook. Time and temperature decide how much of the granule swells. Go too far and the structure bursts. Not enough and the microwave has to finish the job under steam stress. Fourth, quick cool. Slow cooling lets residual heat weld grains. Fifth, controlled dry. Ramp rate matters. Fast dry creates a case-hardened shell. Sixth, reheat instructions. They're written to protect the worst-case pouch, not your taste. You can taste who respects that flow. Golden Star Organic Jasmine holds its shape, releases that pandan-like lift, and stays separate when you fork through it. Ben's Original Ready Rice Jasmine, on the other hand, shows up gummy with a waxy, off-leaning aroma, like oil that sat around too long. One earns trust, the other cashes in on nostalgia while cutting corners. The evidence is right on the back. Rice stands alone in big type, but slide down and you'll see canola or sunflower oils, or lecithin. Some pouches disclose bioengineered ingredients, not because the rice is a science experiment, but because the supply chain runs through industrial inputs and stabilizers. That's not farm to pouch. That's factory to warehouse. Here's the analogy that makes it click. Think of it like a tire pre-inflated at the factory. They deflate it to ship, and you pump it back up at home. It holds air, but the internal shape never returns to the exact same geometry. The ride changes. With rice, the granule swells, collapses, dries, and tries to swell again. Structure never fully returns. 90 seconds sounds like a lifestyle upgrade. The trade-off is texture memory loss. Grains forget how to stay apart. Amylose that once helped them separate migrates to the surface during drying and glues neighbors together on reheat. Aroma compounds evaporate or oxidize in storage, so you get steam without life. So the myth breaks here. One ingredient is diet theater. The process writes the flavor and the mouthfeel. Labels don't. If you want rice that tastes like rice, you have to shop the process, not the promise. Now, let's talk about the first shortcut that ruins rice. Water and heat curves designed to hit a time claim while shattering the structure you actually paid for. So why does true basmati, the long-grain diva of separation, turn into molar-resistant mush, while sticky rice built to cling shows up stale and dull in 90 seconds? Because the industry runs heat and water like a stopwatch, not a craft. Texture is structure. The starches inside each grain, amylose that likes to stay neat, amylopectin that swells and gets glossy, need different handling. Instant processing treats them like they're the same. Here's the thing: speed, shelf life, and yield sit in the driver's seat. To hit the ready in minutes claim, plants push higher moisture during par cook, so the microwave doesn't have to do as much. Then they yank that water back out fast to prevent spoilage. That combo bursts starch granules, smears the surface, and primes grains to weld together when you reheat. Great for throughput, terrible for your fork. You can taste it in basmati done the fast way. Royal keeps the look and the perfume. The grains are long, the aroma reads right. But the bite goes gummy with a slight chew that fights back. That's disrupted gelatinization followed by clumsy retrogradation. The starch didn't set cleanly during cooldown, so it reforms in a dense, pasty network. It looks like basmati, but it eats like a compromise. Sticky rice has a different failure mode. You want cling with bounce. Instead, Bubigo leans sticky from excess water and lands with a stale note. That flat, aged taste points to overwatering and par cook and then too much time sealed up. You get texture without life, like a drum with a torn head. Still making sound, but the tone is gone. The core sugars and volatiles dulled while it sat. Two killers drive most pouch disasters. First, rapid dehydration. Pull water too fast and the outer starch layer collapses into a shell. Later, when you reheat, the steam can't penetrate evenly. The outside rehydrates and gets slick, while the core lags behind. Second, rehydration shortcuts. Microwave steam hammers the surface because that's where the water is. The interior warms slower, so you end up with a split personality grain. Soft outside, stubborn center. On the flip side, not every pouch is a race to the bottom. Golden Star Jasmine holds a clean, buttery lift and stays fluffy because the dry down doesn't crush the surface layer, and a sane oil balance keeps grains sliding without masking aroma. It's not magic, it's restraint. Respecting how jasmine's aromatic compounds volatilize and how amylose needs space to set. You don't need a lab to spot the shortcuts. Do 3 quick checks. First, the pinch test the second you open it. If it greases your fingers or leaves a film, you're dealing with oil used to paper over rough processing. Second, the fork fluff test. If the mound breaks into clumps instead of strands, the surface starch welded. Third, the aroma check within 10 seconds. Oxidized, painty, or flat. That's aged oil and tired aromatics announcing themselves. Let's be brutally honest. Some pouches tell on themselves before you taste them. The one that hits you with a rancid-leaning smell out of the bag, Ben's original ready rice jasmine, proves the point. Shortcuts leak through your nose before your fork. That off note is what happens when oils sit and aromatics fade, and the texture will follow them downhill. Now, you want rice that actually eats like rice. On the flip side, some brands protect the grain's memory, and you can shop for that without reading a lab report. Start with texture, not marketing, and watch how fast your 90 seconds start tasting like an actual meal.